Please read the disclaimer. Hello, beautiful people. Shalom, money makers. I was making a weird face there in the beginning. I have a question. Before we get into XRP and the crypto market and post FOMC meeting and what's happening and why the market is pulling back a little bit here this morning, I have a question, a very important question. So in the disclaimer, I put like very calm music. Do you think I should have a little bit more, like pump, like music to get you up in the morning, or is it good? Is it calm, like the normal music, like I think it's like classical music in the beginning? Let me know in the comment section. What do you think? So currently the crypto market, some might call it a kangaroo market. Some might call it, worse words than that. You might call it a bear market. But the crypto market did not like what the Fed chairman had to say last night. And currently this morning, Bitcoin is trading under 90,000. XRP is very, very close to $2. Ethereum is creeping towards $3,000 once again. Not the greatest, not the greatest. Let's think what we had already this year. We had 3 rate cuts in 2025. In the beginning of the year, the thought was we'd have 6 rate cuts. So that was 50% down. On the flip side, we're seeing gold new all-time high, silver new all-time high, stock market pretty close to all-time high. Russell 2000 just had a new high, but that took a long time. We'll talk about that in just a second. The Fed is starting to a little bit, not really QE, right? Gradual QE. So we're finished with QT, but crypto is still way off from where it should be by some people's opinion, right? So what's happening here? I still think we are feeling the effects of October 10th. I still think that that is weighing on the crypto market. Plus, let's not beat around the bush. We go back a few years ago, there was a lot less risk appetite products out there. Whereas now you have Poly Market, you have FanDuel, you have all these things, right? That maybe might be giving some people the feeling that the crypto market had been giving them last time around. So again, that could be affecting a little bit the market. I saw something about that, and it clicked in my mind. I said, yeah, it could be. It could be. So right now, short term, I'm just sitting back and enjoying the ride, right? I know that when the markets go up and your portfolio go up and the number on the portfolio goes up, you get that dopamine feeling, that elation that the market is going up. But then that fades and you look for it the next day and the next day and the next day, right? That's how it is. And the depression that we get from when the markets are down or where the markets are basically not moving is a lot stronger, is a lot fiercer than the elation, the dopamine feeling, the high dopamine feeling we have when the market is going up. When, I look at an asset, maybe it's a 10, 15, 20, 30, 40%. And you say, oh, well, it could go up more, right? It could go up 5x, 6x, right? And we think like that. But when it's going down, we're like, OMG, I can't believe it. Why didn't I do this and that when it was higher, right? So it's a tricky business. A lot of the crypto market, a lot of trading in general, not just crypto market, is here, the emotions, how we deal with the emotions, how we deal with happening in the market. And if you're able to master that, then you can be very, very successful. Doesn't mean that that is the only thing that you need to know, but it will help you out very, very significantly, right? They say the difference between a elite, let's say you have an, I'm thinking about a good analogy, but once I did an analogy and people are like, no, it doesn't work. So I'm gonna take like an NBA player, right? That's, let's say he doesn't have physical tools. Let's say he's not, the tallest, not the strongest, right? But he has, let's say Luka Doncic, right? He doesn't look like, or Nikola Jokic. Well, actually, Nikola Jokic is very tall, but Also, Luka Doncic is tall, but they don't look like they don't have the muscles, right? They don't have the speed, but they have other tools. They have the tools that make them elite of the elite, right? Same things with trading. People that have the tools, people that have the brains to do it, to control their emotions, become the elite of the elite. And those that don't, they play at the rec league or things like that. And that's what most people are. And it's okay. You can still play at the rec league. That's fine, right? But people that play at the rec league, they don't make 60, $70 million a year like Nikola Jokic and Luka Doncic make. I think maybe you have to have each in your name. Come from that area. But no, so it will be interesting to see. If you don't know, I'm big into basketball, NBA basketball. I've shared this before. So the current situation is that XRP is dancing around $2, right? $2 right now for XRP. And we'll have to see where the markets will go from here, right? Bitcoin did go under 90,000 earlier this morning, right? Like at 5 a.m. my time, it went all the way to 89,300. XRP went to 199 and change. It will be very interesting to see what happens here. Does the market continue to creep down, right? Or does it bounce back off of this? If we're looking at the 4-hour chart here, you can see there is kind of a trend line that is being formed here for Bitcoin. So we'll have to watch out for that and see if anything happens here. XRP doesn't have the same beautiful trend, but you could call this and see if this kind of bounces off. So we'll have to watch that and see if XRP, just from price action, is able to deal with this kind of sell-off that we are seeing here. The whole market, by the way, I was looking at overnight trading on the stock market, and it seems that Oracle is affecting that as well. So maybe that's why we're seeing a little bit of sell-off. The futures were down, and anything that had to do with AI was down because of the concern right now from Oracle's debt situation, right? I don't know why that will, move the market, but we've seen recently that anything that's a little bit negative on AI, because people say, "Oh, it's a bubble," any thing that comes out that's not rainbows and butterflies sends a little bit fear into that sector, and then because it's the biggest and hottest sector right now, it has the effect on the rest of the market. So again, we'll see what happens with that. But listen, XRP. Let's just focus on XRP for a second. XRP has now 19 straight days of inflows into XRP ETFs. Since the launch of the first one, there has 0 days with outflows. Columbus Spot XRP ETF inflows is now close to $1 billion. Now imagine another 5 years out, another 10 years out, right? Now, of course, there's not going to be every single day. We've seen also the Bitcoin ETFs and the Ethereum ETFs that they had some negative momentum, but for now we have positive momentum. We also have a version upgrade on XRP Ledger. We have some new things that are coming. So we have lending and borrowing on XRP, essentially loans on change, dynamic MPTs, similar to dynamic NFTs. These amendments are introduced but not complete in development and not available to be voted on yet. So there's a few things that need to be added and voted on, and we'll see what happens with that. The XRPL is keep changing and keep developing, and that's important for the market going forward. Something that we need to think about is the Russell 2000. Okay, so the Russell 2000 basically is like the 2000 mid cap stocks, right? Now the Russell 2000 had a rough time. Okay, so the S&P 500 went up significantly since the pandemic, right? The Russell 2000, it ran up into July into 2021, similar to the crypto market, right? But then it's pulled back, and for about 1 or 2 years, it was consolidating. It wasn't moving. Whereas the S&P 500, because of the Max 7, they call them, you can see the S&P 500 didn't have the lull, didn't have that pullback that started in November of 2021. You remember November 21, what happened in November 21? If we remember, this is when also crypto started pulling back, right? November of 2021, right? November of 2021, and similar, right, to the Russell, right? Very similar. But then the Russell, right, didn't have Bitcoin ETFs, but starting in November of 23, right? So similar to what happened here, right? November of 23. Remember, this was the bounce off. You could say it overreacted because of Luna and the FTX. So it dropped all the way to 15,000. Maybe it should have stayed around 30,000 if it would have moved similar to the IWM. And then it started rallying up, right, to 70,000, similar to what happened with the Russell, running up all the way to December of 24, right? December of 24, similar here, right? January, December. And then we had that pullback, right? Similar what happened, the pullback into April. Of course, everything dropped significantly because of the tariffs. And since then, it's been rallying and even created a new high yesterday. And these are the mid-size, right? But Bitcoin and crypto is kind of offsetting to what's happening right now with the Russell. It did pull back right into the end of November. So it pulled back into the end of November. You would think that similarly, right, Bitcoin should have come back, but we saw the continuation of the sell-off. And this is where I think it detached and why it's still the ramifications of October 10th. Because I think that positions were unwinding and we're still feeling that effect. We're still feeling what happening there. IWM, again, is the mid cap, the 2000 mid cap stocks in the US. Whereas like I said, the S&P 500 was the strong ones that everybody was putting their S&P 500 index fund and kept buying and buying and buying those up. Whereas the mid cap, the smaller cap, the meat and the butter, right, of the stock market continue, or the market, right, continue to not do great until basically until the last, let's say, 6 months, where it rallied significantly. And so right now, this is telling us that people are looking for opportunities. They're looking for where they can, get the returns, and they're going to the stock market, right? And they're going to places that were, you could call them, undervalued. And the crypto market, I think right now, is very undervalued. Now, many might say, well, yeah, but it also did rally significantly last year, into October, November, December last year. And it all was pre-buying, right, to the potential of what rally could happen. And the rally didn't happen, so people started selling off. And that's true. That's a possibility. But it also could be that the money is just circling. It's circling from the Max 7 into the IWM or the Russell 2000. And potentially next quarter, we could see it circling back into the crypto market. Now, again, these are just my opinions. This is just how I see the market. This is just what I'm thinking right now. I don't know exactly what's going to happen. This video is for educational purposes, for entertainment purposes only, not financial advice. Always do your own due diligence before you decide to invest. Very, very important. But I just thought that that was an interesting anecdote of how the Russell behaved and how crypto or Bitcoin behaved, and how now, again, they are kind of detached from each other, similar to what happened with the M2, that we all know that Bitcoin was mimicking that, and now there's a big separation between the two. Will we see something happen like this current state in the crypto market? I think a lot of crypto people are kind of perplexed, I think is the word. Like, they're confused. They don't know exactly why this is happening because it's not following the template. But we already learned that history rhymes. Wait, what's the saying? Something with history rhyming? I don't know. I forget. But history might repeat itself, but it doesn't mean that it's going to repeat itself. And remember, this cycle from the beginning, I said this a few days ago, was off because we had the new all-time high prior to the halving. We know that previously the halving cycle was very manipulated by the miners. But now a lot of the money is coming from strategy, and it's coming from BlackRock, the Bitcoin ETFs. And a lot of the money in previous cycles that came from the miners is now a smaller percentage, and they have maybe less sway on the price action. So it's kind of messed up, but this is the new reality that we live in, and we have to adapt. We have to learn. We have to try to figure out how we can be profitable even in these types of markets and even in these types of scenarios. So it will be very interesting to see how this market plays out. Don't forget to smash the like button and check out the links in the description down below. Subscribe to the channel, and I'm going to go into my radio voice. Thank you for joining me on 94.5 Hot, hot Singles. And I lost my train of thought. Subscribe to the channel, drop a comment, check out the links on the website there to our affiliates if you're interested in that. And we have the free Telegram group as well. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you next time.